Hey everybody, welcome to day 102, and we are reading in Luke chapter 14, verses 1 through 24. So we see in this passage that Jesus is having dinner with the Pharisees, and anytime I see something like this, I'm always a little taken aback because we know how the Pharisees are with Jesus and how they act and react. And so for Jesus to be having dinner at one of their homes is always a little surprising. I think this shows us a couple things. One, that Jesus was not fearful of what the Pharisees were going to say or do, but also that he loved the Pharisees just like he loved anybody else, and that he wanted them to come to know him just as much, even though they maybe push back the most. And so they are on the Sabbath eating, and somebody comes in with a disease called dropsy, which just means a lot of extra fluid on their body. And so Jesus heals the man. And of course, the Pharisees all start criticizing him, whether privately or publicly. And Jesus basically just says, if you have an animal or a son who falls in a well on the Sabbath, would you just leave him there, or would you get him out? And of course they had nothing to say, because I think they knew what they would do, and they had to admit then that they would break the laws of the Sabbath as well. And so it gets into this idea of pride and humility and taking your seat at the table. When back in this time, where you sat at the table was a big deal. You kind of sat in different based on places of honor. Today we don't necessarily have this exact tradition, other than maybe the head of the table is typically the matriarch or patriarch of a family, or maybe the host of the home. And so in this case, we have to equate the seats at the table a little more metaphorically, in that when we take our place at the metaphorical table, that we need to humble ourselves and not put ourselves above other people. And so it's much nicer and easier, he says, to be called up than to be placed back down in your place. And so it leads into this invitation piece, where who do you invite to the feast, and what does that look like? And so Jesus noticed that the Pharisees, in this case, had actually just invited people of honor, or people who maybe could do something for them. The I scratch your back, you scratch mine method. And so he's saying that with him, it's not about being the most honored at the table. It's actually it's actually better to humble yourself and put others before you. And this is a different mentality for not only that day, but for us today. You know, in our society today, it's all about us and do what's best for you, what you feel, you do you. And that's not what Jesus calls us to do. He calls us to see others for who they are, and to put them above ourselves. And so that is very difficult sometimes, to let go of our pride, and our pride can get in the way for so many things, who we associate with, but also who we forgive, and who we talk to, give a second chance to. Those are all reasons that pride can get in the way. And so it ends with this idea of the invitation list to the feast. Who do you invite to the feast? And Jesus says that there was a feast that was prepared, and all these people gave excuses as to why they couldn't come. So then they go out, the master of the house calls the servant to go out and find people from the streets, the blind, the poor, the lame, and invite them in. And this, of course, is a picture of the kingdom of God, and that God is preparing this banqueting table, and he's inviting us to join. And so when we make excuses for reasons that we can't join with God, he is called, or he is sent to call everyone. And so he is going to go out into the ends of the earth to find those who want to have a seat at the table with him. So I'm praying for you today, praying that you will let go of your pride and humble yourselves in whichever situations that arise today, and that you will be thankful for your seat at the banqueting table if you have a relationship with Jesus, and invite others to join you in that eternal feast. Hope you have a great day. Bye.